Hi everyone, Melanie Minshinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. I've got a new project for you with my newest sets from Gina K Designs, Puppies Galore and Perfect Pallets. And as you can see, they play really well together to make these fences for these cute puppies to be looking over. Either face will work, and then you can use the different little paws. So I'm going to do something that's a little bit different than both of these projects, but the same kind of theme. For this particular project, you're going to need the Perfect Palette set and the Puppies Galore set. If you're watching over Labor Day weekend, everything is 20% off, so I wanted to put up a video for you because these sets are not going to last long at 20% off. Also going to be using some ink pads today. I've got the Gina K Designs Obsidian Amalgam for stamping out my images. I've got the Gina K Sandy Beach for filling in those fence boards, and then I've got some of the Gina K Sea Glass for sponging in just a little bit of clouds, and then I've got one of the life-changing blending brushes for that. Just some adhesive. I've got a long block for that board, and then I'm also going to be using a smaller block for the smaller images. You could also use a Misty if you want, but I really like my long board, or my long acrylic blocks, excuse me, for stamping out those boards. And then the cardstock that I've got today, I've got some of the Gina K Innocent Pink, the black Onyx, and then just some of the layering weight white. So let's begin by getting our fence stamped. So these boards, as you see, they can go either way, and you can use the shorter or the longer board. They're the same, they're just a little bit longer, but the detail on it is the same. I'm gonna go ahead and use the longer one just because I already have this on a block. And I'm going to stamp it going portrait style, and then I don't have to stamp out as many boards. This one has got about 6 going across. What I like to do is I like to start in the middle and then work out to the side so that you don't have a full board on one side and then a thin one on the other. But remember, this isn't a pattern, it's just a fence, so it's okay if it's not exact on either side, like if you were trying to create a pattern or make a border. So I'm just going to ink up just the top of this board, and I want to have enough room up there for my puppy's face, and I'm going to actually put on one of the accessories today, that little hat. And I forgot to put my cat away, so I'm sorry you might hear her in the room. That's why I paused a little bit, because I could hear her jumping up onto my chair. And each time that I'm inking it up here, let me put the pad in here so you can see, I'm rotating the board so that you're going to be getting a different pattern on each side, and also not worrying too much about whether I am getting the board completely straight. I like it that it looks a little bit wonky, kind of like this is a real fence and the boards are kind of moving around a little bit. So I'm flipping it again, and this way I'm going to have just a little bit different grain on each side, and I'm going to go ahead and just tap. I didn't get that very solid there at the top. Okay, some of that. I'm going to get that off with some Ultra Clean Cleaner later. All right, so now what I'm going to do, and I think I forgot to mention, I'm going to have just a sticky note here, but you could also have some of the boards to mask these off. This is going to make it look like the puppy is behind the fence, so you always want to have stamped what's in the front first. That's why I started with the fence. And this little dog, I'm going to do a sorry I'm late birthday card because I send out a lot of belated birthday cards. Let me turn this actually because it's wanting to fold up. It's so humid today. All right, so I want to have room for this puppy's face, so he can either be going like this, straight on, or looking down. It kind of just depends on the expression that you want. So I'm going to put it right about like that. And there's a little bandana too that you could do for him if you wanted to add a little bit more. So I'm going to put it just like that. Okay, so there's his little face. And then instead of having both of the paws down, I'm going to have one paw facing up. Oh, and I forgot to mention what markers I'm using, so I'll show those in just a second. Let me finish. I knew I left something out. So I'm going to have it look like he's waving over the fence, like he wants to come in for the party. So we've got this one little paw up, and then the other paw that's going down to look like he is just putting his paw just over the edge. Okay, so to peel that away, And then I want to use the little party hat from the set right here. So there's no bottom to it, so that it'll just nest on his head wherever you put it. So I'm just going to put it right about there. Okay. And now let's go ahead and color this in. So I'm using my Arteza Everblend alcohol markers. So the markers that I chose, we're doing some real simple coloring today. I've got the pink for the hat. This is $4.89. And then for the face and the paw, I'm going to be using $7.59 and $1.52. So a little bit of gray for shadow and then black for the spots. I'm going to do that Dalmatian face. It's so fun to color just the little spots on and make your own pattern. And then 4104 on the fence. So let's go ahead real quick. Before I color this, I want to fill the fence in with the bold board. So we pull this off and swap these out. So here is the bold board. And on this one, it really doesn't matter that much whether you have the wood grain going the proper way or not. Either way is going to fit onto that board. So if it's a little hard for you to see the grain because it's fine, don't worry about it. Just stamp it either way. Just trying to get it filled in loosely. So let's stamp that just right there. And I've got a little hair on there, which I could see it resisted the ink a little bit. So you can do that again if you want. I really don't mind if I don't get a really solid impression of these bold stamps on the boards, just because then it can look a little bit weathered or like the paint is peeling. It's very forgiving. And then at this side. And these can be any color, so remember, if you want to have a painted fence, just pull out your bright pads. I just liked this neutral color for this one. And then, if you want to add just a little bit more texture and color to this, you can go in and add just a few lines to these boards with this tan marker. And this was the 4104. And I'm also going to use this because I wanted to show you a fun way to frame your greeting on these boards for it to either look like graffiti or, and that's not necessary to do that if you don't want to add that, but I just like that it adds just a little bit more texture and color. So on this particular one, I put the greeting up in the sky, but on this one, I'm going to make it look like it is carved into the fence. So I'm going to do the sorry I'm late. So here's the sorry. And then you're just going to freehand with a pen that little heart around it. Sorry. And then the I'm late is right next to it on the set. Sorry, I'm late. Okay. So then I'm just going to take a pen. So this is just an 01 fine liner. I use this for doing my illustrating with. And I'm just going to do just a quick heart. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. And then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to go around. I'm going to use actually the fat tip. So I just want this to look like there's a little bit of a shadow and a little bit of a weathering inside of that. And I got kind of a blob of ink on here, so I'm going to go in actually, and I just want to just touch in just with a little bit of white, so that's a little bit easier to read there on top of my wood grain. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to fill in this little hat, and you could do a little pattern if you want to, or you could just make it solid. And so I thought this would be really nice with that pink. And then I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to just do a couple more coats to really make it thicker there on the side. And then I'm going to take this 759 and I'm going to go ahead and color most of the ear. Use actually, I really like the chisel tip on these because you can go thick or thin. So you can add a lot of color quickly. So I'm going to do all of this ear black. And I chose not to use the black because this way you can layer on more layers and it's gonna look more solid. When you've got shiny black fur in the light, it's always gonna look like it's different shades of gray rather than a true black. So then I'm just gonna go in and I'm just gonna add some spots on the other ear and on the face and on the nose. A little small one like a beauty mark, maybe one up here. So it's really fun to just play around with where Dalmatian spots would be, and then just do a couple on the paws. So easy to color. And then I'm going to take this gray, this 152, and I just want to do a little bit of shading. I'm imagining that the light is coming from the top here. So I'm going to put some over here on the side. Again, I want to keep just grabbing that fine tip by habit. So I'm going to have it over here on the side under the bridge of his nose, the side of his head. And then you can just do a little bit here and under the ear. And then at the bottoms, put a little bit here too on the little fuzzy. And I want to add a little bit to the eye also. So I'm gonna I'll just use this little tan here just to add a little bit inside the iris. And that's it. And then if you wanted to add a little pattern to the hat and put some little dots on there, that would be cute. Okay. And then I'm just gonna layer this onto my card. And oh, and before I do that, so I forgot to do my sky. So I'm just gonna take this life-changing blending brush. They come in all different sizes. You can get a set of 5 or a set of 10, just depending on your needs. And I'm just gonna go in very gently, just to suggest just a nice blue sky with some very soft clouds. That's all it takes. And so you have a complete scene there with those boards and just that little bit of sponging. I've already got my sticky on there. And that's it. So I hope you enjoy this idea with these puppies. See all of the different mix and match options that you have for the accessories and the faces with the greetings for different occasions, and then how to easily use these boards to create fences and really give you a nice sense of time and place on your cards. Thanks so much for watching today. If you're watching over Labor Day weekend in 2019, make sure that you use Labor Day 20 before checkout to get 20% off your whole order at Gina K Designs. I'll have links and the information about all these supplies in the description below. Thanks for watching today. God bless.